Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fourth episode of Environment and Sustainability in the World of Plastics. In our first video, we talked about one-time use plastic, including polystyrene manufacturing process, which came out to be the fifth largest creator of hazardous waste. The global production of plastics grew from 2 metric tons to 380 metric tons between 1950 and 2015. The second video discussed about the impact of plastic pollution on economy and the global scenario for its remediation. The Indian standards and their role in maintaining sustainability was also taken care of. After viewing these videos, the students will recognize the one-time use plastic products present around them in their surroundings and used in their daily life. They will be able to understand the hazardous effects of commonly used worldwide one-time use plastics such as polystyrene. They can then analyze the role of chemistry in today's technology and then apply the knowledge in providing remediation to the disturbed sustainability. They will then create new ideas and technologies using their background knowledge to bring sustainability to today's polluted environment. The mass of plastic detritus present in the oceans is so enormous that it is called as the seventh continent. At this rate, there will be more plastic than fishes in the oceans by 2050. To make an attempt for better understanding of the plastic pollution problem for more sustainable solutions, implementation of innovations, to take action to stop plastic pollution and live a plastic-free life, certain standards have been introduced, including the IS 17088-2008. This specifies the procedures and requirements for the identification and labeling of plastics and plastic products that are suitable for recovery through aerobic composting. Also, the Indian standard IS 14535-1998 contains the guidelines for the recycled plastics for the manufacturing of products designation. For example, polyethylene terephthalate or PET and high-density polyethylene are the most commonly recycled plastics in the US, and the products made with these plastics are stamped with the recycling symbol encircling the numbers 1, 2, 3 respectively. Now, these numbers are known as resin identification codes or RIC. The articles with RICs can be shredded, cleaned, and remade into new bottles or other low-quality materials such as carpet fiber, etc. The different RICs designated are shown here in the slide as well, wherein number 1 shows that the product breaks down after multiple uses and hence is moderately hazardous. If it carries the symbol of 2 with a numeric value of 2, it means that the product contains low hazard property. If it contains the number 3, that is specifically used for all the PVC products, that means endocrine disruption is caused by such a product. Likewise, 4, 5, and 6 also carry their significant meanings, wherein the number 6 is highly dangerous, used for polystyrene, and it causes nervous system damage and cancer to the people around them. However, all plastics are not equal when it comes to recycling. The polyethylene polymers are the easy-to-handle favorites for recycling. Talking about the footprints, we must all do our bit to reduce plastic pollution. And to help us do so, we need to understand just how much plastic we use. plastic has a big carbon footprint, but that isn't the entire story. About 3,000 organizations in about 60 countries measure and disclose their greenhouse gas emissions and climate change strategies through carbon disclosure product. Now let's say if I purchase at least 5 food items in a week with plastic packaging and a minimal number of, let's say, 1 or maximum 2 of plastic bottles, toiletries such as shampoo, sunscreen, moisturizer, etc., right? Also, I take quite a few plastic package cleaning products including soap, liquid soap, antibacterial spray, etc., and 1 or 2 plastic toothbrush in 1 year. Then the total home plastic consumed by me comes out to be the value of 36. Now stepping out of the home, if I purchase a minimal of, let's say, 1 takeaway cup in a month, let's say for the sake of coffee or tea or any other drink, quite a few energy drink bottles, and occasionally I use plastic bags to buy articles from market, and a minimal of 1 plastic straw, which is actually not possible practically with the present scenario of lifestyle and stirrer in a month. And altogether I'm creating a plastic waste of score of 32 for all my activities out of the house. Now if we add up these two, then totally or in totality I am creating a plastic waste score of 68 articles in a year out of 200. This is a pretty good figure and can give us a silver lining of sustainability in future. But the terms and conditions are applied that practically, is it possible for me to use just 1 straw in 1 month? Or let's say a 1 takeaway cup only in 1 month, which is just next to impossible with our present lifestyle again. But however, if a slight change in my consumption occurs, then it creates an elephant in the room, and then I will have to urgently make at least small changes to bring a slight change in the huge figure created by us. By one estimate, emissions from producing and incinerating plastics could amount to 56 gigatons of carbon, which is almost 50 times the annual emission of all the coal power plants in US. A research remedy has been suggested by Zhang, who developed a Vitrimer based on eugenol, which is actually a renewable phenylpropene and is usually found or commonly found in cinnamon and other plants, also in nutmegs. When heated with ethanol and some catalysts such as zinc, the leftover from the polymerization process breaks down at its ester linkages. Zhang also used lignin for his experiments. Another remediation which is quite appreciable has been shown by Sustainable. Sustainable have successfully developed a composite stone bonded together by recycled PET bottles and quads. Such composite products are made in a batch process and bond by unsaturated polyester resin in a chemical reaction process containing volatile reactive solvents. They have found a means to bond the material without using reactive solvents, which are also polluting at the same time at all, using fewer raw materials and making the entire product fully recyclable. The production plant can consume up to 3,000 tons per year of recycled PET bottles, which is quite a huge and an appreciable figure in the present scenario. It utilizes 0% non-renewable resources, and only recycled PET bottles are required as a binder, and also it uses 0% volatile solvents. Lignin is a complex natural polymer and its structure is challenging. The pollution of water from plastic waste has raised much concern. The problem can be limited by increasing the use of renewable raw materials such as lignin in packaging and textiles, as well as improving the effective recycling of these materials. However, lab-grade lignin-based plastics outperform the polystyrene and show promise for a large sustainable bioplastics market. Since most bioplastics are derived, at least in part, from corn, sugarcane, or other like products, they have smaller carbon footprint with lower cradle-to-plant gate greenhouse gas emissions than their fossil fuel-based counterparts. At least one bioplastic, polyamide 410, is carbon neutral. Its cradle to plant gate greenhouse gas emissions is zero, which is quite appreciable. The amount of CO2 generated during the manufacture of polyamide 410, which actually comes from a combination of renewable feedstocks derived from castor bean oil and petrochemical feedstocks, is offset by amount of carbon dioxide absorbed during the growth of castor bean plant. Secondly, the bioplastic facilitate composting, thus diverting the food remains, yard clippings, and other organic waste from the landfill. The diversion of organic waste reduces the emission of methane, which is a greenhouse gas, and is a potent greenhouse gas often mentioned everywhere, which is in turn formed as a byproduct of waste consumption in the landfills. Even the garbage bags made of biodegradable starch, copolyester compounds, reduces the ick factor associated with composting food waste. And thirdly, some bioplastics are fully compatible with the existing plastics recycling infrastructure. From a chemical perspective, the BioPET and bio-high density polyethylene are identical to their fossil fuel-based counterparts. So finally, with a plastics demand growth rate of 4% per year, it has been estimated that a complete replacement of fossil fuel-based plastics with corn-based plastics would reduce the global life cycle greenhouse gas emissions of plastics to 5.6 gigatons by CO2 emission by the year 2050. The bio-based plastics generally show lower life cycle, the greenhouse gas emissions than their fossil fuel-based counterparts. An estimation speaks that substituting conventional plastics with bio-based plastics avoid 241 to 316 metric ton carbon dioxide emission per year. The plastic sustainability is the most critical issue facing the plastic industry and is likely to lead to greater regulation, including bans and deselection by consumers, retailers, and also the brand owners. Although the chemical industry as a whole is responsible for about 15% of the global anthropogenic emissions, so it becomes a moral responsibility of a chemist to design and propose a remediation to prolong sustainability. Thank you.